So I don't know how familiar you guys are with this study that USC Annenberg did, but their statistics are they're not surprising, but I'll read them to you. So they reported that 25% of movie-going audiences are Latino, who just make up 17% of the US population overall. That's not news, yet less than 4% of speaking parts in movies are. So my question to you guys is, what, besides movements like Oscars So White, what else can we do, and where do you see this going? I mean, are you inspired by the change that's happening, or do we still have a long way to go?
Each person that is in business of any kind has to do their part. That includes choosing the right person for the job, but also knowing that you are putting somebody, giving them a chance, like we were given a chance. And if they're Latinos and they do a good job, you know, in whatever they're applying for, then, you know, consider, definitely. And when we were talking about all of these things, you know, Oscars So White, I really was shocked to find out, I'm a member of the Academy, so I vote for Oscars, to find out that there were only 12% women, forget Latina women in the Academy. And I thought, oh my God, you know, this is really, wow, you know, and what I can do is get involved, you know, in the Oscars as a producer that has, you know, a woman and a Latina, to not only get other Latinas and Latinos into the Oscars because we get to nominate people to get in. After they've made so many movies, there are rules for the different, for actors versus, and I was so happy to see that Michelle Rodriguez got in this year. I mean, box office galore. Nobody had asked her, you know. She didn't know she could get, they make it such a cloak and dagger thing, and that's why we have to peel the onion back. We have to make it not as, you know, oh, this is not for you people. And that's what we found in Hollywood when Robert Rodriguez and I went in. It was that nobody had asked, nobody had ever decided, let's say make a movie for $7,000. And then all of a sudden, you know, Sundance was getting 200 entries, and by the next year it was 900 entries, because people, oh, okay, take the veil off. So that's what I've done throughout my career, and now I am endeavoring to be a part of, by voting in every way, participating in the Academy, and I vote. My movie ticket is a vote, and voting in elections, and vote in every way, being involved in every where I can put my seed in, and that will sprout, hopefully, wherever I put it in. So that's what I've decided. My next, I've done it so far, but how much further can I go? So.
I think having discussions like this are super helpful and really open the doors to everyone in the community to talk about the issues and the lack of diversity. I was fortunate to go to the PBS annual meeting last year when it was held here. So national PBS staff will come, as well as people from all the PBS stations from around the country. And then people can choose, they can kind of make their own session, and then people can sign up and go to people's sessions that they have, little workshop groups. And the director of Arts and Context, Mario Troncoso, had put a session together talking about diversity in public media, because it really is an issue. There is a lack of diverse producers, independent producers and producers at PBS, and PBS is a great station. I love PBS, and it is one of the most diverse stations with diverse content. So it's really essential to the community, but it's the creators that needed to diversify. And his session was the only session about diversity in public media, and it was essential to have there. And the program director from PBS came, a director from WNYC, the PBS station in New York City, came, some other people from Latino Public Broadcasting who give grants to filmmakers of color came, and that, white people came also, because they wanted to hear what people were facing. So I think it was a really productive conversation, and people talked about it afterwards, at the meeting and among our peers to other peers. So I think having these discussions are really helpful to have, even if it's not in a big room or if it's a formal event, but talking about it with your other crew members on set, or with your colleagues at school, or with your parents. It's always great to talk about those ideals and talk about what's wrong.
Mine is kind of along the lines of Chelsea's, is just having an accessible and very encouraging community of people. Even going on a smaller scale, a lot can happen even in the homes and in schools. In my bio, it was talking about how I had the option of having a quinceañera or having a video camera, or I gave myself that option, but I, that was a big thing. My mom was like, well, she obviously wants to do this other thing. And so accepting people with alternate choices, so it started there, but then from there it was okay, I've got this camera, what do I do now? And it's I had heard about Austin, and I knew that there was a community in Austin that I can go to when I got older and find the encouragement and support that I needed. I think specifically just from a behind-the-scenes perspective, when I've been making my films, I always find myself hoping and that someday there could be a database where, or some very accessible thing for Latino talent, that if we have kids that are into acting, they know exactly where to go to this place, and that directors can be connected to them easily. Because even in my casting, it's my last film, it took me 1.5 years to find my cast of 3 kids, because it was such a specific skill that they needed to have. It was you needed to speak Spanish in Mexican dialect, and you needed to hopefully live around here and be a certain age, and it was really, really difficult finding that talent. So I can understand a little of why there's such a small pool of actors being represented on screen, and I think it's probably because a lot of people have this amazing talent and don't have a place to go, especially from underrepresented communities. So.
And to piggyback on what Sharon said about, I was going to say collaborate. I think if you, I had an acting coach once tell me you need to write. And she was right, because I think for us, the way we're perceived is still very limited. And I'm not talking about casting directors. I do want to point that out, and I know there are some actors here in the room today. The casting directors that we have locally, they get to know you. If you deliver for them, they're going to push for you. And it's not just, oh, look, she can be the maid, or, oh, look, they're going to push for you because they know you're reliable, you're professional, and you can deliver, and you're talented. And so they'll push, but remember, it's also the execs, whether it's in LA or New York, that have the final say. And so I think that there is still a huge perception, and we do need to break through that stereotype. To say, no, really, I can play this. I always get thrilled when I have an audition that's general, I had one for, I think it was Hellman's or something, and I got a call back, and it was national. I was like, oh my gosh, and it was everybody. It wasn't just Latinas. Usually I'm the go-to, okay, Latina something or other, Latina mom, Latina whatever. When you have the general ones, because you do have casting directors pushing for you, but there's still the perception that you're still seen through a very limited lens. So when she said write, and she's been in the industry for decades, I thought this is what she means, because when you write your stories. When we write our stories, they're like any other story. But I loved watching. I think it was your clips with all the movies and all the Latinas. All the Latinas are leads. It's all Latina families, and I love watching that because generally you don't see that. So you want to write, you want to collaborate, you want to, whatever you want to do, don't discourage, whether it's a little kid or whether it's a grown-up, don't discourage them from going into this. I always remember and I think, did my parents actually tell me, no, you can't go into acting? I don't think they did, but you don't have to say it. It's just kind of understood, or just the limitations are there, whether we place them ourselves, whatever it is. But to me, what you can do is, again, and I can't say this enough, collaborate. Whether you meet someone in a database would be fantastic, but even without a database, go, if you know directors, you know writers. A friend of mine, Beto, in the studio, or in here today in the studio, he, you know, we've done a couple of movies together when I first got started. I mean, I was horrible in them, thank goodness they're not here, but I was just getting started. But, you know, there were short films, and it was another friend of ours, she wrote the short film. That's my next project, I want to write a short film. That MTV spot you all saw about the Latinas, can't handle real Latinas walking in our high heel shoes, we did that for MTV Tres. It was a comedy campaign, and we got Emmy nominated, and we created all those spots. We wrote those spots. And it's because we write our experiences, we write what we know, right? And it's authentic. And I think that is probably a way to start getting our voices heard. Not just, well, I'm going to go audition for this role, which is great, but I also want to, I mean, I recognize that, look, I better start creating my own parts, because otherwise I'm never going to go beyond the sidekick or maybe like the extra or the day player for the one line. That's my 2 cents.
Can I just add one thing? Yeah, and with that collaboration, I think also like supporting one another. As a documentary filmmaker, me and all my friends are all going after the same grant. You know, so we're competing with each other, but it's so helpful when we can help each other out and tell each other, this worked for me or this didn't work for me, and then also congratulate them and rave about them also, like, to other people, and not to be so like secretive of your secrets and your technique and stuff. Like, if we're all gonna like raise to the top, we've got to like all help each other out.
What are the best channels out there to succeed as a director, producer, actress, or documentary filmmaker? Are there different pathways for Latinas?
Different channels. Well, it seems to be changing. I mean, the world I started in was still film. And then, thank God, it switched over to HD, and we have these great iPhones that you can make a movie in, and there's even festivals for that. And also, YouTube. I mean, it's amazing to me to see the amount of access, but then again, there's also a lot of noise, you know, so you do have to figure out how to get your voice out there. But it has somewhat leveled the playing field in a lot of ways for us, because it is not money that is stopping us. It's knowing and being savvy and filling a section that hasn't been filled. So as a producer, I look for these little glimpses of new things that are coming out, because I love television. I've always loved television, and then it became this thing that I just didn't even want to turn on, because there was nothing in it that I wanted to see. And now that's changed again, and I'm back to loving television. And I love that I can watch it any which way at 1 in the morning, and you know, when I'm awake, and I can have half an hour to spare, an hour. And so, you know, as a producer, I have a lot of hope for us as Latinos, and putting our stories out there and making them universal, but with our flavor. It's like we've always, Robert and I have this line about, Robert Rodriguez and I, about it's, you know, it's iced tea, but it's iced tea with parchita flavor, you know, like passion fruit, maracuya flavor in it, you know, and so, but it's iced tea for them, you know. And it's like, ooh, that's neat, you know, and it's like, yeah, it's called agua de Jamaica. Hibiscus tea with mint. Yes, that's it. But, you know, you're giving them something they understand, and at the same time, with our flavor, with our culture, with our language, and our funny, peculiar cultural references that now, you know, now understand more and more if we just keep presenting it in different ways to them. So I think that as a producer, that's I see it happening, and little glimpses of actresses. You know, when I started watching Precinct 99, I think it's called, and I saw Melissa Fumero, I was like, who's that? oh my God, and it's like these glimpses of new actresses that are in shows that immediately get Emmy nominated, and their show really gets up there, and new actresses that are coming up that I just had never seen before, and TV has a way of doing that much easier than in a film. And then and there's a lot of going back and forth now, which is wonderful. I mean, to see Anthony Hopkins on a TV show on HBO is like, whoa, awesome. But also seeing our Latino actors being able to go back and forth, it's another wonderful thing for us to see. As a producer, I'm looking forward to trying to figure out something I can do to create something in that space that shows our, culture or world or in a different way. So.
Yeah, I love TV now. It's gotten so great. It's also dangerous, the binging. Well, as far as documentaries go, the pathways have never been more open as they are now. Like you said, there is a lot of noise, but there's a lot of great stuff out there, and now there's a lot of opportunity to get funding as well. I mean, it's still a very competitive world, but if you have a good story and you believe in it, it really can do well and get funding. I got a grant from the Ford Foundation, and it was kind of all timing. They had just unleashed their hashtag #inequalityis, and they were talking about inequality among everyone, and whatever you thought inequality was. And so my story was about inequality among undocumented construction workers, and it was just along their lines of the kind of stories that they wanted to see. So there's a lot of foundation funding out there for people who want to do documentaries, and PBS too has been really supportive. ITVS is a big funding source, and they have an open call, and it's kind of like a contract that you get with them, and you get a lot of money, and you can finish your film and also broadcast it on PBS. And then there's great organizations like Latino Public Broadcasting also, who have given to local filmmakers here, including Paul Steckler. He just did one called Postcards of the Great Divide, I think, which was kind of like a series about voting in Texas and I think other states. And that was crewed with local people as well. Heather Courtney was another filmmaker who was here, based here, and she got funding from LPB also. So there's a lot of great avenues to go towards. The kind of advice I would give is, I kind of learned the hard way, is in order to get some of those production grants, you kind of already have to be in production and be able to show a good 10, 15-minute extended clip or group of clips to kind of showcase your story so that people know what your storytelling is like, and gain confidence in you as a storyteller.
So I think I'm currently in a place where I'm looking around for those pathways still. But I feel like right now with TV or Netflix and just a bunch of streaming, subscription streaming services, creating their own original content, there's a battle right now for people who are just looking for really unique stories to tell. And I think that is a really good avenue to send your creations to, and in the meantime also just create and put your stuff out there on YouTube, Vimeo, wherever you can connect with audiences. If your film has something to do with a specific community in your town, find that community and show your things there also. Yeah, that's what I've got.
I would say, I think for actors, don't close yourself off if you're not interested. Say, for example, we do a lot of stuff that has nothing to do with television or film. You go audition, for commercials or a local thing. It's the same casting directors. You just never know where that opportunity is going to come from. And so you go to these things. For one, they pay the bills, which is great. It's a way to supplement income without, you just kind of show up and you smile. Now that you have a lot of, what I've noticed is a lot of, they want our money. So a lot of clients, a lot of agencies or companies are starting to market towards Latinos. So that's where we come in. Oh, we want to make, this commercial specifically with the Latina mom, or we want to make these commercials specifically to target the Latino audience. You have a lot of that. But even, again, if you're not interested in those avenues, or you just want to say, well, I just want to do, film, you want to pursue every avenue because, number one, it's practice. It's training. You can never get, as actors, you're never done. You can never get enough training, and you can always get better. You can always improve, and you're always going to have challenging roles. And to me, I would say go for it. Go for whatever challenges you've got. Do not close yourself off. And I'm not sure if I'm kind of getting away from the question, but in terms of actors, I would say just whatever opportunity is there, you need to pursue it. And don't worry about, well, I don't really want to do television, or I don't really want to do the local commercials. I don't really want to do, it's a money thing, it's a time thing. If you've got the time, invest the time. But go to those opportunities because you don't know where they're going to take you. And so I say just kind of keep it all open, keep an open mind. And whether you want to do YouTube, Netflix series, whatever it is, I remember when I was younger, I used to say, oh, I don't want to be on the Sci-Fi Channel. Oh my gosh, what an idiot. And I think now I would love to be on the Sci-Fi Channel. But you think, oh, I want to be on the big screen. That's the only one that counts. No, everything counts.
Who are you guys watching these days, and who do you think is doing it right? Who are you watching these days in terms of shows or films, and who do you think is actually doing it right?
Anything that helps, to me, that moves forward. All of those, no matter where in my crew, you are moving from having been an intern to now you are somebody's camera person, or you are an editor, or an assistant editor that has now become an editor. Any which way that you are moving forward, that we are moving forward, is progress. May not be perfect. That whole movement, people like Guillermo del Toro, I love because he has gone from Spanish to English, back to Spanish, and doing mainstream, doing horror, then going back and doing interesting stories. And he lived here in Austin for a little bit, and he had done his first film in Spanish, and then was doing Mimic in English. And there was a lot of battle with the Weinsteins, who I worked with, and it was Miramax and Dimension at the time, way back in the day. I mean, this is 1997. And he left extremely disillusioned because of the process of what it was. And he went off and made a couple of movies in Spanish, and got nominated for awards, came back and was able to do movies with studios. So he just didn't quit. He just went and did his own thing, and did it with Mexican and European money. So anything that moves forward, and hired a lot of actors that came up and just made his stories and gets nominated, and all of that helps. Anything like that, where we're seeing in TV, on YouTube, on any medium online that moves forward Latinos in any way on our stories, is progress, in my opinion. So I'm looking forward to seeing more people. I think anybody doing anything to make us all get further ahead is doing it right, because it's that seed. It's just keep knocking. If 25% of Latinos are the ones going to movies, the reality of that 25% is that they're going to see Spider-Man. And that's what we have to change, in my opinion. You as a viewing audience, you have people that go see smaller movies that are made with actors that you want to continue to promote. I have nothing against the big Hollywood movies, but that is the 25% is going to see that. And that is your vote. So vote for the ones that you want to see your culture continue to be repeated. Eugenio Derbez has done a very good job of promoting us. And he's such a decent person. And he has put his money where his mouth is. His first movie that he directed, he had to pay for it himself. And then the money came. But support those movies, you know? Support who's out there. No Manches Frida is out there right now. I mean, why not? You know, go see it. Vote with your ticket, vote with your money, because that's what's gonna happen. And Robert always said, Robert Rodriguez and I, being in there at the beginning, it's like, all they see is green people. That's the reality. That is the truth. They don't see, oh, you're Latino, you're not Latino. If we are out there putting our money and going to those movies and watching them, and they see the green, it's gonna happen and continue to happen and continue to happen. So I encourage you, go see those movies. I do, you know, make sure. I take my kids if they can see, if they're the age to see it. So just be those people and put your money where your mouth is, because it is your mouth. So put your money there.
I really love America Ferrera. I think she's really blossomed into just like this amazing actress, and takes on some really just fun roles. But she, I don't know what her new one is, where it's like Superstore. You know, it's a comedy, but it's like working at a Walmart. You know, like working people, and those kind of stories are great to have in society. And and then she's just really politically active. I think she's like a surrogate for Clinton. And then I saw her the other day on the Bill Maher show, and she was debating with this Republican House rep who was saying, voting has never been so easy today. And she was like, no, it's not. She yelled at him and said, if you're a working parent or a single working parent with like 3 kids and 2 jobs, it's really hard to get out there and vote. But yeah, she's been doing like some amazing stuff. I just love her activism, coming out and just being honest and talking to people, and her work too, I think, is really great. And she does talk about diversity in the public eye also. Another person I've really enjoyed too what she's been doing is Reese Witherspoon, and she's actually been like supporting females with narrative production, I think. I think she started this side project, and I can't remember the name of it right now, but you probably could just Google Reese Witherspoon narrative support for females or something, where they're if they liked your script, they will give you money and help you with production, and having someone like her behind your back is tremendous. So it's really great to see her think about females in the director position as well.
I'm currently extremely excited and obsessed with the new Bomba Estéreo video, who is so much that I had to make a shirt for it. And I think that's like when you're doing, that's like a sign that you're doing something right. Because I've seen just the reaction to this video on the internet has just been amazing, and not just in our like Latino niche, but it's just gone viral. And just the fact that there's this adorable and super confident little brown girl at the forefront of it, I think it's just like one of the best things made in this whole year. And I love even, within the video itself, sorry if y'all haven't seen it, but, it starts off with the little girl kind of feeling a little insecure around these 2 little white girls that she comes across on the street that are a little more put together than her. But then, she lifts that recorder and she's like, whatever. But it doesn't just end there. It's not just about her interaction with these like little white girls and her being a brown girl. Like the next progression is like her interaction with men on a basketball court that are different ethnicities. And then she goes, and gets empowered again, and it's just like, whatever, I'm myself, even if I suck at basketball. And then like the third one, it's like away from athleticism and more like artsy performance people on the street. So I love that it goes beyond just like being being insecure in your interactions with just like white people. So I love that music video so much. And yeah.
I think I'm going to borrow from what Elizabeth said because I was kind of thinking the same thing. I think any celebrity who uses their platform for social justice, I think is admirable because those are the ones who people pay attention to, right? It doesn't matter if they're somebody famous, they're going to listen to them. But what I was going to say, to me, it's also everybody who's out there hustling, everybody who's out there trying to make it is who's doing it right. Because that's how we're going to, just keep encouraging all of us to just keep doing it. We keep pursuing it, even if it's hard. You keep going to those auditions. You keep writing your script. You keep trying to get a director position. All of it is, or trying to direct your own film. To me, that's who's doing it right. Because all these famous Latinos, and I love them. I've said this earlier, I love seeing, Gina Rodriguez, everybody. Gosh, I can't think of anybody. Eva Longoria, everybody. I love seeing all of them, whatever they're doing. Sofia Vergara, all of them. But I also, they were unknowns at some point. So the fact that they kind of kept pushing and didn't give up, that's who I think is doing it right. Everybody who's in the industry trying to break into it. Because they're there and they're pursuing it and they're not giving up. And everybody's got to start somewhere, right? That's what I think.
Can I add a little bit to that? Well, just also, I think, is that when you go out and you're creating whatever you're creating or acting, creating something that could make a connection with other people beyond just Latinos is also something that I feel the people who are doing it right are just really hitting it on the head. And that's a little bit of what I meant to say also by the video, is just people who aren't little brown girls can still identify with whatever that feeling is of being awkward or being empowered. And so people who are doing stories that way, every time I make a film, I'm always like, okay, what is the core of this story? And like, what does it say about humans? And then I let, everything that I am go on screen too as a Latina.
Well, we're almost out of time, and we just have one question, so I'm going to let Emily ask it, and if maybe one of you would like to answer.
We have a director, a producer, an actress, a documentary filmmaker, a scholar, and a Latinita. If you had all the budget film, what film would you make together?
Good question. No pressure.
You're a director.
No, I'm not a director, I'm a producer.
I have an idea.
And as a producer, it's like, what stories you got? What's happening?
So,
that's sort of, that's what the producer does. So I want to know what they got.
So
Let's
maybe
make
there
it.
once was a little girl who grew up and moved to Austin and used to go to Elizabeth Avellan's talks all the time when she'd go talk at UT. And then she grew up and started making things on public access, and then went off to California to study screenwriting and filmmaking, and
you got to throw in conflict, and it's not going to be made up because all of us have, all of us have gone through those struggles where you've had the naysayers, where you've had the folks who don't think you belong there. So you throw in reality. To me, it's like nothing is better than the truth, right? So somebody's life story. There's a story of, the African American women who work for NASA. I can't wait to watch that movie, and I'm thinking, you know what? We need something. There are so many wonderful, amazing things that have happened for Latinos. We just need to get one of those stories, somebody's true life story, and make it into an exciting movie that everybody wants to go see, but that people can identify with. Got your conflict and success. Yep. That's right. I would throw in there. Yep.
So we're going to open it up now for Q&As, question and answer. Does anybody have a question?
Thank you. My name is Angela Benavides Garza. I am part of a group called Texas Entertainment Industries, and we're fighting for the incentives to come back in Texas, right, because we need them. So we're doing quite a few work groups. One of my questions is, where are other opportunities for funding? I mean, that was a huge cut that brought in a lot of revenue to our state, about $1 billion, and we're working on getting all that back. But since then, have y'all found some really good opportunities for funding? I mean, any other opportunities? I know you named some, but are there any other opportunities, like for actors, actresses? Or we're just trying to figure out how to get other ideas for funding so that we can keep people in our state and they don't have to keep leaving.
You know, it depends on what you're getting the money for. I think it's wonderful, grants and all of that stuff. Movies that are commercial don't usually get grants, so you just have to go and pound the pavement and try to get either investors to invest in your movie, which is not easy to do, or a studio that likes the story, and then you're losing maybe some of the creative, edge that you want in it, or your show. But the sad thing is that the sources of funding are pretty much the same as they had been for commercial projects, the studios, the investors, but for the same reasons that the big movies get made for $200 million and they make $800 million, it's the same reason why the independent film part of it, those 20 million, those even $5 million movies are very hard to raise money for, because they have to spend so much money to promote them. So now, imagine, I mean, $2 million sounds like a lot of money, but that's sort of the sweet spot right now if you're gonna do something independent, below $2 million. And if you don't have the incentives, it becomes even harder, because those incentives for a $2 million movie are huge. It's a week of work. It's a lot. It's your whole cast. So that is why we have to fight and write your Congress people, even you little kids, someday you're going to be in the business, write your congressman here in Texas that this needs to happen. Because one of the things that was very interesting to me was, well, it all is happening in Austin. That was one of their fighting words. And what I kept telling these young people at UT is, you come from all over the state. I have shot all over the state. And you come from all over the state. You come from the four corners, all over. You have your grandma, you have your aunt who are paying for your education at UT, and the government of Texas is paying for your education at whatever state college you may be in. And this is not just Austin. You are coming from Corpus, and they need to voice their desire for incentives to happen for film, because they're not just happening for Austin. They're happening for people from Corpus. They're happening from people from, Amarillo, from wherever, little town. So you need to speak up and you make your grandma, make your aunt, make whoever you have, in that city, in that town, put in their 2 cents so these things happen. Because the view is that it is just Austin. So that's how funding happens, because you're going to get the incentives, so somebody will take a chance that and the Austin Film Society gets these amazing grants. And it started all from Rick Linklater calling even Quentin Tarantino way back in the day when they started. And the 16th year is what's this? Is this
25th year, I believe.
25th
yeah,
year
25th year of giving grants.
Of the grants?
Yeah.
Oh, God, I'm old. Oh, God, don't say, I don't know. And it all started from Rick saying, let's do this, and all of us putting money in. Obviously, the galas happened to make it continue, and we're building a fund so that it can be self-sustaining, but you all are the reason the incentives need to exist. Your children, your grandchildren, your little town. You never know. I mean, I just saw Hell or High Water. It was all shot in Texas. Jo Edna Bolden was there. She was one of my first casting directors from here when I did the faculty. And it was like so awesome to see work that happened in these areas that are depressed in Texas. So, call. If you have family wherever, have them call about this to their senators, to their state representatives. So, my 2 cents. No pun intended.
Okay. I highly encourage you to look up the Texas Motion Picture Association, the Texas MPA. They're going to be supporting a campaign, for those of you who don't know, where they're going to facilitate getting those letters to our representatives. And then also they're looking for people to create their personal testimonies to put on their sites. So everyone look that up, because it doesn't just affect the filmmaking community. It's like Elizabeth said, it brings money into the cities where these films are being made, and then also supports creation of narratives rather than just all commercial work. I always tell people, it's like if we let commercials tell all our stories, we're going to be in a bad spot. Like, we need to hear the stories of the people too.
Did Birdman really get Iñárritu his first Oscar for Best Director?
Say that again?
Did Birdman, the movie Birdman, really get Alejandro Iñárritu his first Oscar for Best Director?
Yes. González Iñárritu? Yes. Yes, it did, and I'm so happy to see these filmmakers. We were all like young and all knew each other, small or large, Cuarón, Iñárritu, all of us. We kind of started earlier, and to see them be able to make these sorts of films and get nominated is such a huge honor for all of us to know each other and to have supported each other. We go to each other's films and send each other notes saying, hey, I love this, or, an early screening, or, we even have had, like, we're having a preview screening, or they're having like one of those research screenings. They'll call their friends, if we happen to be in LA, come see it and give me your opinion. They're not just taking the opinion of the studio. And that's a beautiful thing. Again, it's the cooperation, it's the whole, collaborate together, because together we're stronger, definitely. And be friends with your other filmmakers, support. One of the best things at the Austin Film Society is so that you go, be a member, join the Austin Film Society. You get so much information, just like join the Texas MPAA. It is important, you young people, even they have student memberships, yeah. And you can get to see films. And my oldest son had a movie called Latino that he shot, and I, executive produced for him. And they had something called Works in Progress. He got to show a movie, and they let filmmakers and whoever member of Film Society wants to come see it and give their opinion on an early version of the film, and you're getting the opinion of people that are your audience a lot of times, and you don't have the preview screening or the research screening a studio will do. And this is a wonderful opportunity, because people show up and do give their constructive criticism to the film. And they, and that's what's created Austin and Texas as a great community, because we do support, we do give each other help and support each other's films and give our collective opinion and our collective energy to make something happen. And that's why these two beautiful women got grants from something that we started. Okay, I'll give each one of us $10,000, We all don't have a lot of money, but let's do it. Let's do it. And we did it, and it just kept growing and growing, and it has grown and grown, and the gala has grown, so people feel like they see the benefit of giving and buying tickets to go to a gala. They see it in film. It actually goes forth, and it pay it forward sort of thing. So I think that's a very important point you're making, that, yeah. And there are a lot of those. Cuarón, Del Toro, Iñárritu, they're all friends. They're tight. Gal Garcia Bernal, they're all very tight. We're all very tight community-wise, and go see the films again, of our fellow Latinos. Anybody else? Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Does anybody have any question? Oh, yep, over there.
Oh.
Spy Kids was the first movie ever to feature a Latina child played by a Latina. You all know that, right? Yeah. Trivia quiz question. First movie ever to have a Latina child be the hero played by a Latina child.
That's right.
When are we going to have many more of those on television beyond the cartoons and functional families beyond what happened? You probably don't know this. The first TV program, primetime TV show that had a functional Latino family on primetime, on commercial television, not the cable ones, because they were on cable, but on commercial, was ABC's Condo in 1983. Since then, I do not recall seeing a functional Latino family that would be role models for our kids. When we're going to see that next? With the children as the heroes, Latino kids played by Latino kids, not by others pretending to be Latino kids. And then families that are role models, like Walk in the Clouds and others that are role models for future generations. The flowers that need to bloom and be seen.
Mm. No, I agree. I would love to see Latino family that is, you know, like a lot of our families. I mean, there's plenty of conflict in our families. That's not a problem. But, you know, functional or not. It's both fun and functional and dysfunctional. They're both fun. But, yeah, I think that that's something that needs to be created. And it is. It's you pitching that and then trying to get the actors, because, oh, well, who's going to play this and who's going to do that? And, you know, that kind of a thing. Oh, man, it's never ending. And to have a powerful child, girl, you know, and it was hard. Believe me, we tried getting a boy. Believe you me. And Daryl Sabera, at least his last name was kind of Latino. But, you know, it was not easy. Just much like you were saying about actors having a place to find them. Now maybe there's more, but we don't encourage our kids maybe to go out there and do it. And I tell parents all the time, yeah, and kids, if you want to be, you know where I learned how to be a good producer and learn about in theater in school. Join the theater in school. Just make plays. Do anything behind the scenes, in front of the scene. Whatever you got to do. It's free. Encourage your children to do this. It's a wonderful. Yes, I mean, it's important because that's how we're going to get them in front of the camera. That's the thing, you know. That's when. I mean, you see a lot of names, you know, in the scroll, but in front of the camera is where we need to see more. And we don't have a tradition of, oh, he wants to be an actor. Oh, I don't know about that. I don't, you know. They fail. It's more failure. But by just keep knocking. But look, there are a lot of great role models. I mean, America has been around since the Traveling Pants series. And nobody, you know, she just got in and was there and then just has done something for herself through that. So. Because she has worked so hard to get herself out there, and in many ways, politically and in her profession. So, yeah.
Do we have any Latinita aspiring actresses out there? Like, can y'all raise your hands if there are any little Latinas wanting to? Emily's one of them down here, up there. Oh, nice.
You guys may not realize this, but Selena Gomez, you know, she had been on Barney, and we didn't choose her because of that. My kids watch Barney, but, you know. But she was in Spy Kids 3. She's the little girl in Schlitterbahn during the winter, you know, the one that hires Daryl Sabera's character, Junie, to go, you know, he's like the little spy, he's a gumshoe. And that's Selena Gomez, you know. That's awesome. Yeah, it is. You know, people are like, yeah.
Yeah, thank you guys. It was awesome, and I think Laura. Yeah, please give them a round of applause.
I'm personally grateful to have this level of talent to be here and share their experience. You never know how it's going to manifest with all of us, no matter how old we are. I want to also share, every one of these women have volunteered for Latinitas in addition to this experience in a way of either advocating for us, literally, walking girls through filmmaking exercises and showing them the ropes on how to do an audition. So we like to teach acting through the filmmaking process, because we have, our camps present filmmaking, and then, you guys have to be your own cast for that. But noted, duly noted. And don't be so hard on George Lopez. Don't be so hard on him. But I agree with Federico. Even George Lopez has been in syndication for a very long time at this point. So I also would like to thank, of course, our hosts here tonight. And I'm just going to keep you guys up here for a minute. We have 4 trivia questions. We're going to have some Alamo draft ticket prizes. But again, I want to thank Google Fiber for being amazing hosts and providing the space and making this so easy. Of course, all the food was provided by Pollo Tropical, the queso by Fresas, Don's Barbecue gave us we have a real hodgepodge of the meal tonight, real Tex-Mex, and Juice Land for a little help. And so thanking our sponsors. And I want to thank the Latinita staff that are here. They work very hard to deliver our programs. Just a side note, if you are interested in getting the girl, feeling like ramped up to sign up your daughter, niece, cousin to a Latinitas activity, we are going to do a family workshop on September 24th at our space from 10 to 12. We're going to use blogging, we're going to use podcasts and other digital media formats to explore college. So, and come as the whole family. You could be as young as 5 and as old as 95. So, all right, no help from the panel, but I have 4 questions to test your Latinas and cinema knowledge. No winking, no mouthing of words. Okay, so the first question, and of course I left the tickets back at the office, so someone's gonna get your name and number. There's a lot going on. But whoever, you just raise your hand, first to raise hand, we'll call on, and then we'll get your name and number if you're correct. The 2008 film, Celia the Queen, is about A, a Latina rap artist, B, the last queen of the Inca Empire, C, the evil queen and a Latino version of Snow White, or D, a Cuban singer and global artist. Manika? D? Oh, wait, she said D. Yes, yes. Celia Cruz. Excellent. So we'll make sure we get her contact info. All right, the next question. Which of the following Latinas won an Emmy, a Grammy, an Oscar, and a Tony Award? A, Adrienne Barraza, B, Rita Moreno, C, Salma Hayek, D, Rosie Perez. This mom, right. You got it, you got it. You guys are, Well done, well done. So yeah, we'll get your name and number. Just raise your hand again. Our winner. And okay, the next question, the third. Which Latina actress and activist grew up in Texas? Eva Mendes, Zoe Saldana, America Ferrara, or Eva Longoria? I saw you first. Rebecca, you got it. You got it. You guys are so smart on your Latinas in cinema. All right, this one, I hope this one could be a little tricky. Which one of these actresses are not Latina? Alexis Bledel of Gilmore Girls, Linda Carter, Wonder Woman from the TV show in the 70s, Aubrey Plaza of Parks and Rec, and Catherine Zeta-Jones from Zorro. Glasses? Catherine Zeta-Jones? You got it. Ding, 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 ding. Very good. Tried to trick them. Again, a heart-filled round of applause for these amazing women changing the game, setting the tone, laying the groundwork for our Latinitas. Thank you for being here.
And I have a shirt to give away if anybody wants it.